The first thing I remember about that afternoon is the sound of water, children laughing, splashing, the hollow echo of voices bouncing off the tiled walls around the pool. The beach house had always been loud during family gatherings. 50 people scattered between the patio, the grill, the pool deck, plates clinking, someone opening another bottle of soda. For a moment, it felt almost normal. My kids were in the water, shrieking with the kind of happiness children have when they forget they're being watched. They had been nervous about coming. I had been too, but the ocean breeze softened things. And for a little while I let myself believe we could simply be another family at a summer party. Then my mother's voice cut through everything. "Get out of the pool!" The laughter stopped. My daughter blinked at me from the shallow end, water dripping off her chin. My son thought she was joking. My mother stepped closer to the edge of the pool, her sandals clicking against the concrete. I said, "Get out." She repeated louder now. "This party is for respectable families." 50 guests suddenly had nowhere else to look. Not divorced failures. The words landed with a strange kind of stillness. Conversations froze mid-sentence. Someone near the grill coughed softly. My son looked at me. He was old enough to understand tone, but not old enough to understand what divorce meant to people like my mother. "Mom," he said quietly. I walked to the edge of the pool and held out a towel. "Come on," I said gently. "No speeches, no arguments." My daughter climbed out first, water streaming down her legs. My son followed more slowly, his wet sneakers squishing against the tile. People shifted uncomfortably around us. A few looked away. One of my cousins pretended to scroll through her phone. My mother had already turned her back. As if the scene was finished, I picked up the other towels from the chair behind us. My hands were steady. I remember noticing that. Strange what the body focuses on when something humiliating happens in public. The drive home was quiet at first. My daughter eventually asked the question, "Did we do something wrong?" I kept my eyes on the road. "No," I said, "but Grandma sounded mad." "Oh, she was." I said, "Why?" There are moments as a parent when you realize you're explaining the world before you wanted to. Sometimes people decide things about others, I told them, even when those things aren't true. My son stared out the window. "But we were just swimming, yes," I said. That night I didn't call anyone. Not my sister, not my cousins, not even my mother. The house felt unusually still after the noise of the party. Towels hung over the backs of chairs to dry. My daughter fell asleep early. My son stayed up reading longer than usual. I sat at the kitchen table and thought about how long certain patterns last in families. My divorce had happened 3 years earlier, long enough for the paperwork to settle. Not long enough, apparently, for my mother to stop treating it like a public stain. But I didn't think about revenge. Mostly I thought about distance. The next morning, my phone rang while I was making coffee. The number was unfamiliar. "Hello," a professional voice answered. "Good morning, ma'am. My name is Daniel Ruiz. I'm calling regarding the beach house lease agreement." I frowned. "I'm sorry?" "The tenant listed as Mrs. Helen Carter. Your mother has been informed that the property owner is terminating the lease at the end of the month. I was told to confirm the notice with you." For a moment, I didn't say anything. The beach house had belonged to my grandfather originally. When he passed, the property had gone into a trust. Eventually, it transferred to me. A quiet decision he'd made years before. Most of the family never paid much attention to the paperwork. "I see," I said slowly. Mr. Ruiz continued. "She seemed surprised that the ownership had changed. She asked if there had been a mistake." Outside my kitchen window, the morning was perfectly ordinary. A neighbor watering plants. A car passing slowly down the street. "No mistake," I said. "Would you like us to proceed with the termination notice?" The question wasn't emotional. It was administrative. I thought about the pool. My children standing barefoot on hot concrete. 50 people watching. "Yes," I said. Later that afternoon, my mother called. Her voice sounded tight, like someone speaking through a door that wouldn't open. "Is this some kind of misunderstanding?" she asked. I could almost picture her pacing. "The realtor says the owner is ending the lease." "Yes," I said. A pause. You know the owner. Wes. Another pause. Longer this time. You're saying, her voice faltered slightly. You're saying you own the beach house. I do. Silence spread across the line. When she finally spoke again, her voice was softer, not apologetic exactly, just uncertain. You never mentioned that. It never seemed important. I didn't bring up the pool. She didn't either. Practical things filled the space instead. The lease terms, the timeline for moving furniture out, the possibility of finding another property. The conversation stayed calm, almost formal. Before hanging up, she said something that sounded less like a question and more like a realization. I didn't know. I know. I said that evening my kids were playing in the backyard sprinkler. They laughed the same way they had in the pool. I sat on the porch steps watching them. Humiliation fades slowly, not all at once. But something else had shifted too. Not power exactly. Just the quiet fact that some lines, once crossed, become visible in ways they never were before. The water sprayed into the warm air, catching the sunlight, and this time no one told them to get out.